So the new 12-man raid is out in Throne in Liberty. I want to cover a quick guide so you can beat it on normal difficulty. You should be able to queue up this as a random queue. I would be careful though, particularly these early days. You're going to run into groups which you're going to need a lot of patience for. There are definitely some mechanics where you really have to know what you're doing in order to proceed. So let's begin. I will just keep it simple, covering the first, second and third boss and skipping the mob phases in between. There is a bit of puzzles you need to do, but I'll let you have a bit of fun with that and find out for yourselves. They do also give some nice clues as to what to expect with mechanics for the next boss. First of all, a massive thank you to these guys for running it with me, and let's get into the mechanics. I have written guides as well. This is the first boss, the second boss, and the third boss. They'll be in my Discord server where you can read through it a little bit easier. So this first boss, what you need to know. There is currently a bug where you get this debuff and it will prevent you from receiving most heals. You will need to die or re-log for it to go away. This occurs after you get trapped from failing a Q block. But then you will see the boss will roar and there'll be like a quick powerful wave and everybody gets these purple growing circles. You need to spread apart for that, otherwise if you intersect somebody with this purple circle or you go in theirs, you get feared and will wander around and you won't be able to successfully block these Q blocks. And then you have this mechanic where everybody gets these colored circles and you get these 3 statues of oblivion. You need players to interact with those statues to activate them, and then you're going to have the next phase where you're going to have to change the color of those statues so that they all match. It happens a little bit later after the boss does a few fury attacks, and you will see that just here after he jumps to the middle. Now each of the statues have a different color. These 2 statues are now both red. However, this statue started out as blue. Our team organized to change all the statues to red. So you need to go to a statue which is blue, and then if you have the blue color circle, you block the attack and then the statue changes color. You can see it's now red. When you manage to get all the statues the exact same color, all of them will then disappear. If you fail and you don't change them in time, those statues will explode and they will kill you. Again, your color has to match the color of the pillar, and then you block the attack to change the color of that pillar. When they all match, you successfully complete the mechanic. Once you get the boss below 50%, he will shield up, and when he does this, it's a DPS check. You need to destroy the shield in time before he kills you all. When a player gets an eye, the boss is going to attack them twice with these ground attacks. You can see this person has the pink eye, and then the boss jumps back and then he puts those ground attacks, which is the persistent damage over time effects. But that's all you really need to know about the first boss. Then we have the second boss, Zairos and Vulkan. You want to split up in 2 parties, so 1 party per boss with a tank and a healer in each. Now each boss is going to give you these stacks. They're not really relevant for the normal mode, but just be aware of them. They will simply drop off before you need to worry about them. But the next phase is this. You're going to get tethered. And when you do so, you have to go and meet your tethered player, and then you will cleanse the debuff you have. One is hypothermia and the other is fever. You will die if you don't remove it. And once you've done so, you can go back to your boss. You need to be quick as the tank so that the boss isn't doing large area ranged attacks. You can see all the stacks simply drop off, so you don't really have to worry about that. At 50%, the ice boss gets shielded. I believe it could be the fire one as well. You simply need to break that shield before you all die, so the other team can help them momentarily if need be. For the ice boss, there's something special. The person with highest threat may get this question mark above their head, and you need players to prepare to go next to you and join you in the circle of 3, and then you won't get frozen. But honestly, this freeze is not for very long, so you can generally just take that away so that you aren't freezing other players. And that's honestly about it for this boss fight. Now we go to the final boss. It looks like a lot, But honestly, this was the easiest and most underwhelming boss to beat up. You can wait for this first fury attack before you damage her because she has like a debuff, and then you're going to get forced into like an alternate dimension. 4 players are going to get restrained, and you need to break these orbs in the corners. So you can see somebody gets restrained and you just break the orb, you free them, and you may also note you start taking these poison stacks, which simply racks up damage over time. You can then here enter these circles which have a number 6. There is a circle either side of the boss for both parties. You don't exactly have to do this in normal mode if you have some hit points, but then the boss does a big unavoidable damage attack. It was only 12,000 here, and you can interact with the rift then to leave that alternate dimension, and then your poison stacks will decrease. If your group has enough damage, you only ever have to do that phase once. When you get pulled towards the boss and you get tethered like this, simply move apart and break the tether. It deals quite a bit of damage over time. Sometimes you may get this lightning effect. You can see this player just here is going to put like this chain lightning on 4 of us. Just here. And this can do a lot of damage and can end up getting you killed by the follow-up attack where she does this burst around her. I'm not 100% sure on the trigger, but I believe one player will get this fury attack on them, then players nearby will have to block, and then you prevent the chain lightning from spreading. At this point, you can see the person with threat has a 4 and a circle. Now our group didn't play this properly, but supposedly you could group up with 4 players and avoid these big damage hits that the tank then has to take. After those attacks on the tank, the boss does these unavoidable hits. It's 4 of them back to back. If you have the threat and you're not next to the boss, she will pull you towards her and she will kill you with heavy damage over time. You can see this just here. I have the threat, she's targeting me, and she's going to yank me towards her and put me up in the air. I can't do anything, and give me heavy damage over time. She simply kills you then. So make sure you stay next to her if you're tanking. And that's pretty much it for this boss fight. You might need to enter the rift again if you need to kill some more mobs. Just be aware of your poison stacks while you're within there. It will rack up, and if you have too many, you just take too much damage over time and can't out-heal it. So I hope this helps. In terms of the Codex, these pages are super easy to find. There are a few mechanics I need to do a few more times to get those shards. You have a bunch then specific to the mob phases where you need to beat up these mini bosses. Then these specific to the first boss. Just do the mechanics properly, and you will have to like intentionally take these stacks. I believe if you get 30 you die. Second boss similarly fairly straightforward, and the last boss just here. What I don't know is the Astral Force imbued shield. What's up with that? Could have something to do with that lightning. To help with the boss fights, you can clear some more mobs and access these like altar rooms. You can see just here what they look like on the map. This shining barrier. When you kill all the mobs and then you interact with the orb, you get this buff. You get like a attack buff, a defense buff, and a hit point buff. You can do that for all of the boss fights before them. It's just these additional sections where you have to kill groups of enemies. Also beware of the enemy types. The first boss is simply undead, so make sure you at least have that food. And the second boss is a construct, so you can have this food. You can have the ultimate food, which is the Fury of Chaos essence, or the Luminous Life essence from the Omen of Chaos event we just had. And yes, the final boss is also undead. Also, this extra ability you may get, this is Sword of Judgment. It builds up over time and then you can cast it. It is dependent on your primary weapon, which for me is a staff right now. If I switch this, so I'll make my primary weapon a wand, I now have this skill. And if I have a sword and shield as my primary weapon, you have the Barrier of Blessing. I assume these will be probably vital in the higher difficulties of this raid. Not very important in normal. And when you use them with their designated key, they have a 5-minute cooldown. Like, for example, I'll cast this one right here, call it down, and boom. That would just deal a bunch of damage. If you have anything you think I missed or could add as tips and tricks, absolutely be my guest to leave them in the comments below. Once again, massive thank you to all of these guys for the completion. We may be running tomorrow on difficult mode, and I might even stream that. It is quite the step up in challenge, So I've seen. Once again, massive thank you to all these channel members for your added support, with Brian and Mysterio joining just the other day. Thank you for watching, hope this helps, and we'll see you guys around.